Mike Cardano with Roto Experts in the Fantasy Sports Network here with you, back to talk some fantasy football and back covering the seemingly unwarranted attack Thursday by the king, Scott Engel, on one of the industry's most well-respected personalities, Jeff Mans of Fantasy Alarm, co-host of the Fantasy Alarm Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Now, when we last left off, Scott accused Jeff of picking Matt Forte with the first pick in the 2014 Experts Draft as a PR stunt, claiming that Jeff and his partner Ted Schuster knew that there would be controversy over the pick. Now, Scott's logic is that choosing Forte meant that by default, the first pick would not be Adrian Peterson, it would not be LaShawn McCoy, or the guy Scott feels is the best fantasy running back of the bunch, Jamal Charles. All players that he suggests are commonly ranked higher in mock drafts. Now, Scott has gone on record saying that Jeff and Ted made the pick for no other reason other than to bring industry attention to themselves. Now, I have to be honest. Personally, I don't see this as much of a reach at all. I probably wouldn't have done it myself. I would have gone with Charles. But to suggest that taking one of the most productive fantasy players in the game was grandstanding and that this pick was staged for publicity, I think it's a bit over the top. It's not like they chose Lamar Miller with the first pick. It's Matt friggin' Forte. Anyway, we're going to bring on the accused shock jock, Jeff Mans, here to defend his pick and perhaps shed some light on his logic, maybe find out if he has any words of wisdom for the king. So, Jeff, welcome to the program. How you doing today?
Thanks, Mike. Doing well. Happy to be joining you. And yeah, of all the things I do, of all the picks we made in this draft, all the shock jock things that you could accuse me of on the SiriusXM show, this is probably this is the most tame thing I've ever done. Well, so if I'm doing this for a publicity stunt, I'm doing a really bad job right now.
Let me ask you a question. How did it end up that the Fantasy Alarm team got the first pick to begin with? Let's start there.
We paid the F.S.T.A. $55 in a case of beer. There was a pre-draft thing through email. I don't know. Charlie Weger one day emailed all the participants out, and he does a random generated order in which, and then we didn't have to take the first pick. We got the first selection, which we could have dropped down anywhere. We actually thought about dropping down to number 3 or 4 for this because, all right, we thought Forte was going to be our guy. And we're like, well, nobody's going to take him first or second, so why don't we drop down and get a better second-round pick? But at the end of the day, we wanted the wheel pick. I like having those back-to-back picks a lot more, and said, well, why not just keep the number 1 choice and still select our guy, because we didn't feel there's much of a drop-off of any going from either Charles, Peterson, McCoy, or Forte. It's just not that big a deal, except for Scott Engel.
Let me ask you a question. If Forte was off the board when you picked, if you had picked at a different spot, who would your guy have been? Who was your next guy?
Well, next guy would have been Peterson second, and we went Charles third and McCoy fourth. Here's the deal with the 4 pick. Of those 4, to me, the only one with a big positive this offseason was Matt Forte, and that's with the absence of Michael Bush. Forte, he scored 9 rushing touchdowns last year, and he's going to pick up goal line carries now. I mean, that's an extra, let's say, 3 to 5 as the center of Mark Trestman's offense anyway. He's one of the most heavily used in the passing game running backs there is. He's very durable. He's got that jump cut that keeps him away from really hard straight-on contact. He's always, he gets tackled, but he's always kind of falling over as opposed to really getting buried. So picking up those goal line carries is huge for him. He's got Peterson with another year of wear and tear in the legs. The North Turner is good. We like that, but he also doesn't catch a ton of passes in that system. With Jamal Charles, what Scott Engel needs to learn a little bit about is offensive line and how they impact running back. Losing 3 of your 5 starters along the offensive front, and that's not a positive. And they didn't go out. They lost Brandon Albert, an All-Pro to Miami. They just go out and replace these guys sort of with interchangeable pieces. And if you think that, if you think guys like Donald Stevenson and Jeff Allen are really going to be able to clear the room for them, you're sadly mistaken. So that's a big. And then of course with McCoy bringing in Darren Sproles and their love for Polk and the passing game, they want to develop. Nick Foles more. They went out and drafted Jordan Matthews, could throw the ball and Chip Kelly's offense. As much as I like those guys, there's that little bit of negative this offseason that pulls them beneath Forte in my mind.
Yeah, you made some good points there with the blocking. Now, listen, I don't know if Engel has a problem with this, but I noticed you didn't take a quarterback to number 6 and you went after Cam Newton. First of all, do you have any concerns with the ankle? Second of all, was it a conscious thing to wait that long to take your quarterback, or is it just the way the draft fell?
Yeah, like what I do is I just make it simple. I'm not the smartest of fellows, so I just keep things really simple for me in draft. I don't think we need to get too technical. Like, I go like this. In the 5th round, I'm drafting my quarterback. Now, it just so happens we had, the back-to-back picks or whatever. So, with that, we were going to pick our quarterback in the 5th round. There was a lot of quarterbacks left for us at that point. Stunningly so, Kaepernick, Cam Newton. So we just went with the one we felt was best available. Still a top-end guy. Still a guy who could be the top quarterback overall if he runs the ball the way he would. We don't like his receiving core, of course. We don't like the offense too much. But I always say Cam Newton is a 16-ounce soda in a 12-ounce glass. The talent is just so immense, and he's got the ball in his hand on every single possession. Lots of things are going to happen, whether he's running the ball, whether he's throwing the ball. And I honestly think the loss of Steve Smith is a good thing for that offense. I think they're going to spread it out more to different wide receivers. And I think he'll surprise some people with how many passing touchdowns he does have. And if by chance he gets 10 to 12 rushing touchdowns again, you're talking about it could be the number 1 quarterback this year.
Yep, good point. All right, we're pressed for time. Before I let you go, any words for the King?
Yeah, I will never kiss your ring. I will never bow to the throne, Mr. Engel. I respect everything you've done. But, learn some things. Stay out. Start drinking some more water, less soda. Get rid of those kidney stones, and don't. If we're doing a publicity stunt, we're doing a hell of a lot better job than drafting one of the best running backs in all of football, number 1 overall.
All right, Jeff. Take care.